Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for another episode of Oxygen Not Included here in the One Duplicate Challenge. In the previous episode we started building the hydrogen and oxygen setup in order to liquefy those two gases and play around with them. At the moment I'm still gonna need a whole lot of insulation, at least for the hydrogen part. But we can already think about the next steps. For instance, it would be recommended to get a liquid reservoir for the cooling so that you can have it at a non-fluctuating temperature. This theoretically means we could have a liquid reservoir here and another one there. This on the left side would be the one for the oxygen and on the right side for the hydrogen. Now I do believe we can have them within the chamber because the liquid inside the reservoir should be the same temperature as the liquid of the gases. Well, liquid of gases sounds a little bit weird, but you know what I mean. Next up we need some radiant piping going out of the liquid reservoir. So if we try to cover as much as possible and then go back into the aqua tuner, we should be fine. I'm gonna do aluminium pipes as usual. Then we go, I'm not so sure yet. Let's move into the reservoir first. And then what if we go up, then over, then we could cover all of these spaces. Actually, I got an idea. We go out here, cool all of this down, then go down here, up there, and down again. After that, we switch to insulated piping. This should be a bridge, so I can still lead the liquid here outside, which should then be made out of insulation material. So the exit slot there, the output, however, this pipe here is just containing the supercoolant. So we do something like that. Continue with insulated piping and go back into the liquid pipe thermosensor. There's just one bridge missing right there. Okay, that actually kind of makes sense. Now, this cannot be exactly copied over because I cannot rotate the liquid reservoir. Or mirror, I should say. However, we first still want to go into the reservoir. Then what we could do, and this might be a little bit sneaky, but we can go first up and then use a bridge to go down and cover all of the spaces. So now it goes up and then down and I will have covered all of these spaces. I can go up here and down there again. This would have to be a bridge. Go out and up into the sensor. Okay, let's maybe do it the same way as on the other side. Now I just need to get all those bridges installed in the correct orientation and then have an insulated pipe going out from here. And that would be the liquid oxygen. Oh, that's stupid. Yeah, I definitely don't want to lead it into the steam room. That's not good. I mean, here it's very obvious. It just goes to the right. But then here we might first have to go down and then just use the insulated tiles. I think I'm going to do exactly that. So we set up the bridge here instead in order to go out from the pump and then down into the tile. This can go and this would be coming from right there. Now let me quickly check something. What's the difference between obsidian thermal conductivity? Looks like it's the same with obsidian and igneous rock. Either way, if we go through the tiles, I don't think we have to go with insulation materials. We just go through there and we should be okay. And now we have our two output slots with insulation materials right there. Now, will you look at that? We just got a huge delivery here of mushrooms. It started like at 100,000 kilocalories. And now we're finally producing a respectable amount of iso resin. Let me actually see. Where is it in the chain? Oh no, we still have to pick up a lot of the tungsten. But there we go. We can see the conversion. This seems to be working so far. I just have these two little naphtha spots. They are a little bit of an eyesore, but they might actually help not converting more of the iso resin to naphtha. You know, by distributing the heat a little bit better. But now we have all of this iso resin queued up, and one of the suggestions was to actually bring this directly up here and then use a bridge at this spot. This way the iso resin will only have to queue up this far and not all the way here. Well, at the moment it just goes straight over here, but I don't think... Hold on. Yeah, I think the way it works at the moment is they are alternating between iso resin and tungsten. Yeah, honestly, if I were to do something else now, in the meantime, everything would add up because the volcano here is now dormant for another, I don't know, 60 cycles. And in those 60 cycles, we're gonna get easily rid of these materials. So over the entire activity cycle of the volcano, everything adds up. I'm just a little bit too impatient to get the iso resin now because the project is dependent on that and we cannot complete this without the iso resin. And I think we can get away with these pipes not being iso resin, or insulation I should say. These two pipes here can be normal igneous rock. And then just the two outside pipes here need to be insulation. Now, maybe in the meantime, another thing we can definitely take care of is this little contraption here in order to pump some of the supercoolant inside the system. Ooh, but I can see another problem right now. What if this queues up too much and then we have the isoresin in this room for way too long? Yeah, okay. This just created some more naphtha. So we will have to go back into this room to fix that. I think one of the mistakes I made is this little corner here. This just doesn't distribute the heat very well. And then the door might actually close for too long. I mean, right now the temperature is really good. So this batch of isoresin should totally have no issues. So maybe this sensor here is just a little bit too hot. Let me push this down to 100 degrees, see what happens. We might be able to compensate for the heat distribution this way. But now we're queuing up the isoresin. This is really bad in my opinion. Okay, so I'm actually gonna go with one of your suggestions because I have nothing else to do in the meantime, and that is, let's just go ahead and do it. Fly to Ozista again. I should be able to just go ahead and do that. So the plan that you suggested, and I really like that actually, it makes so much sense. What we can do instead of bringing these guys directly to the interplanetary launcher is we first drop them on the floor and then use an auto sweeper to bring them into the launcher. So we can actually have everything on the floor. It will not have to queue up, but it is just gonna pile up somewhere here instead. Maybe it would be wise to move everything here one block over to the right. And this shouldn't be too difficult. I just have to carefully move everything, right? By the way, my rocket speed improved again. We are now at, let me see, 3.5 tiles per cycle. Not too shabby. Wonderful, we have arrived at the planetoid. Let's see what we can do. First things first, get rid of that payload opener, and then we're gonna move the bridge right there. This needs to move one over, deconstruct one bridge and reconstruct it over there. Then deconstruct this guy and get it placed over there. Very nice. Now I can get this payload opener placed right there. It is already hooked up to the new line. Then the materials will be hopping over, and instead we're gonna bring them up a little bit and then just drop them right there. Actually, I will have to move the beacon over as well. So maybe we get this situated even higher. Then get that beacon over, also get the auto sweeper over, and that should be everything. Now I can also set up the conveyor loader here, and this should then lead into the machine itself. Wonderful, there is my stuff, and it is now dropping out. Oh, wait, temperature. No, the temperature should be fine. Yeah, we might actually even do us a favor and keep the liquid cool this way. Well, it's already cooled by the cooling loop, so never mind. Now, of course, I can just go ahead and prioritize the isoresin for the time being. Is that, yeah, rare resource. And now we're picking up the isoresin, which is then being brought over into the interplanetary launcher. And now, of course, we have everything also freed up right here. And we're not even dependent on any cycle. It is just dependent on the rat bulge generator, but then we can have the materials accumulate in this spot without problems. And so right now, I'm just gonna keep it at isoresin, but then later on, we keep on picking up the other materials as well. Though, do I still have anything left here? I probably picked it all up. Yeah, I think probably at this point we can pick up all of the resources again, and hopefully we're already going to be capable of crafting some more insulation. As a matter of fact, I have 190 kilograms in here, so that's still not enough. However, we still improved on the system here, and I think what I can do to help this out is revert back to just isoresin, but then I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the rest of the materials. Okay, maybe I'm gonna do it in the next cycle. And I'm actually bringing the materials back to base. Looks like I did that in one swoop. Okay, we're already ready to fly back. So change that destination back home. And thank you, see ya. Okay, we're back, and at this point I'm filling up the little pool here, so maybe it is time to also hook up one of the loops. My intention right now is to at least get the oxygen production going and everything already running here. Oop, that's not good, we need to mop that up. There's also some liquid here. Let's just make sure this is not the case anywhere else. Either way, we already got this room completed, so we could theoretically get this going, and my suggestion would be to do just that. What priority are we looking at here? 5, I guess that's fine. I think I'm gonna hook up the lower loop here first and then set up an impossible setting. If it is above 9000, then we should activate the thermo aqua tuner, and therefore it will not be activated at all. At the same time, we need to disable the output here of the liquid reservoir, so we can first fill up the liquid reservoir with a certain amount of supercoolant. I'm probably gonna go with the usual 2000 or so kilograms. We can bring 400 kilograms at a time, so this shouldn't take too long. It should at least not take as long as building a pipe all the way from downstairs. But now this is being fed to the first loop here, the hydrogen loop. And we already have 1200 kilograms. That would be 1600. And then we're gonna do one more load before changing to the other pipe. This should be our current errand. So if I move this to priority 1 now, then my dupe shouldn't be bringing additional bottles for a brief moment. Now I should have exactly 2000 kilograms in the reservoir, and then we're taking apart this pipe here. So we can hook up the other loop and do the exact same thing. Exactly 2000, that is very nice. Let's connect this already. Pipe has been removed, so we can hook this up again and then reset the priority to high. Also right here, we're gonna disable the output, and therefore we'll have an easy game filling this up first. I'm not gonna enable the aqua tuner just yet because we don't have enough steam to keep it cool. And now this is going into the other reservoir. Very nice. Wonderful. We should be able to complete this in the next cycle. Let's see what kind of thing. Yeah, okay, that's very good. Every time I'm getting some food to spawn, I'm actually happy. Grub fruit preserve, you take that. And we also reset the timer there and feed that to the tree directly. Thank you. Also, it looks like within the next cycle, we're going to be shooting over the rest of the iso resin so we can see for how many blocks we can continue. But we definitely don't have enough to already finish all of this. And you know, if I weren't doing this series for YouTube, in my single player game, this would be the moment where I cheat a little bit of iso resin in. Even though it's technically my fault, we don't have that much yet. But of course, I'm not going to do that here. You might just have to wait for a day longer to get this episode. Okay, this is going to be the last load. We can also get rid of the power cable now. Kind of tidy things up a little bit. Also get rid of these pipes, of course. Oh yeah. Clean up, my boy. Now, I think we need to prioritize certain blocks over others. Let's say this here at the top, I would like to be built first, so we can at least close off the reactor room and already get this going. And then the next priority would have these blocks here. So let's get those 6 and those 7, okay? And then these guys here, they have the lowest priority, and then the inside blocks and this wall here will have to be completed. And now maybe another thing we can already do is close this off and get the contraption already running. Ooh, I might have forgotten something. Yeah, this is important. We need to complete the... Oh, no. So let's get back into here. Of course, we need to complete the piping. Without that, we are screwed. So I'm gonna bring this all the way up here and then over right there and add this with a normal gas vent. I don't want a high pressure gas vent because if we have too much gas in here, it's going to be hard to convert it. And then the same thing here with the hydrogen, it would move all the way over here into a gas vent. Okay, nice. Let's see this happen. Go. Thank you, Nathan. Now, at this point, some of the iso resin found its way back home, so we should be able to craft it. Yeah, wonderful. Insulation. But of course, it takes 15 kilograms just to get 100. That means we need 60 kilograms for one single insulation tile. This is quite a bit if you think about it. So I think what I'm gonna do is just open up a little spot here. Let's just do this one here. And then I'm gonna set up a bottle emptier. So maybe we have a temporary solution to cool down the thermo aqua tuner and we can already get one system going. Also now here, everything is cleaned up. Let's close this. Hopefully we will be able to replace these with the items falling upstairs. But you know, overall, it's not that dramatic. We can temporarily open this up, even if it is already full of gases. We might have to prime it again, though. And how is the priming exactly gonna work? Well, we first have to make sure that the gases distribute the right way. This essentially means on the top, we only want hydrogen, and this gas pump is only gonna pump up hydrogen, and also these ones here at the bottom are only gonna pump up the oxygen. Before this can happen, we probably need to recycle some of the gases. That means instead of bringing them to the vents, I'm gonna collect them outside. So let's say we dump them all into space. just set up some gas vents here, another one there. This is gonna lead over, and then we cut all the directions I don't want them to go to for now. And then it's just gonna be dumped into space until we have the correct distribution. Also, these atmo sensors, let's say we want to detect above 1,000 grams before we actually start to pump things up. One thing I think we can get away with is this wall here being ceramic instead of insulation. Because it's double walled, this should have no transfer whatsoever. It's still gonna have a slight transfer between the liquid and the insulated tiles, the ceramic tiles. But I think in the overall scheme, this is neglectable because once it is cooled down, there's going to be no additional effects on it. Contrary to these tiles, for instance, they are constantly being heated up by the top portion and then cooled down by the lower portion. And so if we use insulation materials here, then this is going to stop. I'm going to add some more water right here, and then I'm also going to do the same thing on the top. So let's copy over those settings, and we're just going to dump a whole bunch of water. Now, let's actually go ahead and exchange this. Ooh, can I even do that? What if I exchange this with a heavy watt conductive plate? I think I can do that. This way we can collect a little bit of liquid here at the bottom and just make sure that this is all nice and covered and the aqua tuners can do their thing. So there's my water already incoming, and some of it is being directly converted. Let's maybe prioritize that, and also give me that plate. Yeah, I can actually do it. Also prioritize that one. Do that first. Good. And I would say with that out of the way, it's time to activate the system. No, this pipe here isn't built, and the pipe up here isn't built. So just give me a brief moment. Before I actually give this a shot, I decided to close this off. I don't trust it with the gas vent being this close. It could be that some of the oxygen then escapes into the steam room, which I really don't want. But without any further ado, let's finally get this activated. The electrolyzer should do their thing first. And now we can see the gases are distributing, and they should be going directly over here, being dumped right away. And then as soon as we only see hydrogen in this pipe and only oxygen in this one, we should be fine. Did I forget to set the sensors? No. They're all set to above 1,000. We might even have to go to 1,500. I don't know yet. And ooh, what do I see here? Why do we have oxygen here? This is not good. This is the oxygen room. I just wonder, maybe I still had some left over inside the pipes when I hooked up something. I don't know. But yeah, now the situation here should improve. I think I'm gonna set this a little bit higher here. Let's do this to, I don't know, 2,000 or so, or 1,500 at least. This way the hydrogen isn't being pumped out immediately again. I need to make sure that only hydrogen is in all of these tiles. So actually, could that be a problem? No. Eventually we're gonna pump out the oxygen here. Right now in the beginning, I just want to make sure this pump activates a little bit later so the hydrogen can distribute there. Now I'm also getting some oxygen in this room, but this one here doesn't matter at all. What I'm much more worried about is once I exchange these tiles, what is gonna happen? Very nice. This is already looking much better. There's just a tiny amount of oxygen left over. Let me see how everything else behaves. Yeah, I think I'm gonna move up to 1,250 grams with the lower sensors here. Not deconstruct. No. Copy settings over. And then this guy here is going to be set to 1,500 at the top. Okay, now, well, you look at this. I think we are at the state where we have what we want. Only hydrogen on the right and only oxygen on the left side. This is confirmed by this picture, so I really like that. Let's go ahead and continue this now. That means we want to separate these pipes. Let's do something like this. Okay. Then one pipe is going to go over to the oxygen part and the other pipe to the hydrogen part right there. Hydrogen, of course, right now is just going to be dumped. Well, I guess we can dump it into the room at least, but I'm going to keep this open here until we have the insulation done. Otherwise, it's just no use. But this now means we are filling up this room with 2 kilograms or so of oxygen, which is great. We can click on the oxygen, have a look at it. Condensation point is minus 183 degrees. Okay, so let's go ahead and set this up. We want to do it if it is above minus 183 degrees. We can probably set up a safe margin of 2 degrees or so, maybe even more, since oxygen has a much higher tolerance. But let's get started with minus 185. That should be enough to get our aqua tuners going, well, at least the first one here, and cool the liquid down. Wait, I'm running low on power. Okay, I will have to figure that out quickly. What's happening with my power? Yeah, we are not at a decent temperature. Oh, I did not build these temp shift plates because... Wait, what's happening? I'm lacking the super duper hard... Ah, okay. Well, that explains something. I did set up this change like a long time ago. This is the building command that has been there for a while. Okay, nice. The new temp shift plates are in place. And now, yeah, they are transferring the heat over to the next one, and they will be transferring that over here, and so on and so forth. I guess we can even take this to the next level, to be honest. Yeah, let's just skip the waiting period here and add 2 more temp shift plates. Get that heat really rolling. And just like that, we are now back to 400 degrees. Yeah, look at that. This is looking good. We just need to wait for the heat to distribute a little bit, and then these guys are gonna produce much more power again. How hot is this? Only 1000 degrees. I'm just gonna continue further. I'm gonna do 2 more levels. So 1 here and 1 there. There, yeah. Oh yeah, this is gonna be so much better. Just look how quickly I built these temp shift plates. I love it. But now these are gonna be 1400 degrees, and therefore these guys are gonna heat up much quicker. This was a good decision. Either way, the aqua tuner managed to heat everything up by now, so I think I'm gonna re-enable the bottle emptier here. I know this is a little bit of a makeshift solution, but until we activate the research reactor again, this might not be the worst of ideas. Okay, right now I feel like we could make good use of the research reactor, but before I do anything else, I'm gonna save scum right now. Then I'm gonna re-enable the research reactor, and let me see. Come on, come on, come on. This is now going for it again. We have a certain radiation, but we can kind of avoid it by going down below, and then maybe at this point we can already go ahead and complete this. Yeah, probably. Let me see. I'm gonna set this to 7 so we can dump another load, and then this to 6. Okay, looks like the oxygen already filled up inside of the room. That is good. If we check out our liquid, it is at 16 degrees currently, so it still has a long ways to go. And of course, the important temperature here is inside of the liquid reservoir. This is how we are equalizing the temperatures, so they all come out at the same temperature range. Good. Now we already have kind of enough steam in here, and of course I had to dump the materials here. Hopefully you get radiation sickness. You deserved it, man. I now remove these 2 ladders to avoid that in the future. And yeah, I want to see this guy built here. Can you please do that? And then we stop dumping liquid here. No, I did not have enough materials. Are you serious? Come on. Finish it, finish it. Okay, now the room is contained again, and we have enough steam to keep the aqua tuners cool. This is funny. I'm converting bits and pieces of the magma here into the item form. We're now back at 500 degrees here. Okay, we're slowly but surely getting there now. Back to our previous power glory. And of course, the research reactor is gonna help very soon as we have over 5,000 grams. And then right here, we're already down to around 4 degrees with the oxygen. Very nice. We just replaced an insulated tile. Did we get steam in here? Not even. Ah, this is great. So once I replaced all the tiles, I can just go in and pick up the materials, and then we're done. I really like that. So let me just go ahead and actually convert some of this to liquid so we can enjoy half of the fruits of our labor. And then when the entire insulation is done, I'm also going to enable the hydrogen. But as mentioned, this might not even be in today's episode. Just rest assured it's working the same way as the oxygen liquid production. Just hydrogen has a smaller window of temperature where you need to keep it at without it changing states all the time. So let's let this run for a brief moment. Ah, my power is slowly coming back. Okay, this is good. Just one more output here of the research reactor. You can do this. Come on. Yes. Give me power. Give me power. And then, of course, most of the water is now going back here. Actually, let me check. Half of the water. Oh yeah, I removed this pipe for some reason. This, of course, also needs to continue. Okay, I am back. Everything seems to be stable so far, and we are at minus 181 degrees. Inside the tank, even slightly lower. So very soon, we should be seeing our first oxygen being condensed. Yeah, we now definitely reached the temperature. I installed a bunch of solar panels to help out with the power production while I was waiting for this to cool down. There we go. Look at that. How wonderful. So right now we are at a stable 184 or minus 184 degrees. Inside the tank it's 187. Now if we check the oxygen, the liquid one, inside the properties the freeze point is minus 218 degrees. So that is quite a big margin, and I would say in this case we're gonna go down to minus 195 degrees. We can just keep this at a very safe low temperature and it's still not gonna be frozen, because it should always be coming out the tank at a certain temperature, and that temperature should eventually be 195 degrees. This is going to be especially true once we accumulated a little bit of liquid. Right now in the beginning it's going to be a back and forth until everything has cooled down, but we can already see the liquid reservoir is also cooled down. Yeah, looks like we are almost there. So that means we're just waiting for enough iso resin to be able to complete the other room, and then we should be able to do the same thing with the hydrogen before we then can finally make use of it. I find it kind of a pity that the hydrogen rocket is not technically a necessity, but it's still cool to build it. And now that we have access to niobium and all these cool materials and also insulation, it is a much more practical build to do. Now there's quite a bit of oxygen in here, and because of the fluctuation it has some troubles. Therefore, I think it's best to cut this for a brief moment and let it all condense to liquid. This shouldn't take too long, but there were just way too many kilograms in here. Supercoolant is already at minus 203 degrees. I'm gonna move this back to minus 190, and I think it will have a stable temperature that is slightly lower than the temperature sensor, and we just have to figure out the perfect setting that is then gonna keep it stable. There we go. We finally did it. It did take a while to actually stabilize. Let's reconnect this, see what we can do. Add a bit more of that oxygen, and now hopefully with that out of the way it should only condense and it shouldn't be evaporating anymore. Only condense. Yeah, I think this is working now. Okay. We stabilized it, very good, and I should be filling up until this sensor registers 500 kilograms, but maybe we want to take this even higher. What if we just fill up the first 2 tiles? No, actually with the sensor at the bottom this is not possible, but we might be able to bump it up to 1000 kilograms depending on how much the liquid oxygen actually accumulates in a single tile. But my main goal is reached as soon as the oxygen comes in. It is being directly converted, and the more liquid oxygen we have at a stable temperature, the better. Very nice, I really like it. It is a real pity that we couldn't do the hydrogen just yet, but I made so bad experience without using the insulation material. This is really important. Ceramic and even igneous rock will do for most of the contraptions, but this here, liquid hydrogen, really requires insulation, and so we need to wait for it. But it's the same concept, and you can see for the liquid oxygen, this seems to be running quite smoothly. And we get this going. I'm still not happy with how these steam turbines actually react to the automation I set up there, so I might fix that in the future as well. Let's see if we can print something out here. Just a little bit of glass. Okay, wonderful. With that out of the way, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Have a great time and see you in the next one. Bye bye.